Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Holtz, and I'm here with Paul Fink and Dr. Nicholas Giudice to talk about our paper, Fully Autonomous Vehicles for People with Visual Impairment, Policy, Accessibility, and Future Directions. Specifically, we will discuss how state and federal policies for fully autonomous vehicles, or FAVs, need to be designed to reflect the needs of blind and visually impaired people, or BVI people. FAVs are poised to dramatically increase the independence and mobility of BVI people. The problem, however, is that there are currently no federal laws guiding FAV accessibility. Moreover, we discovered that the needs and concerns of BVI people are not being adequately considered in FAV policy. Without these laws, there is no guarantee that BVI people will be able to use this life-changing technology. This lack of federal accessibility legislation has been compounded by states beginning to pass discriminatory FAV laws. We found that 11 states require a traditional driver's license in all situations. This means that even in a fully autonomous vehicle where a human driver is not an option, someone must still pass a traditional driver's license test based on visual and physical ability to ride independently. This is just one example of the policy changes necessary for fully accessible FAVs that support people with disabilities. Paul, could you elaborate more on these policy changes?
Sure, thanks, Jess. Today we'll be discussing 3 recommendations from our paper that are based on current FAV research with BVI people and contrasting them with current policy efforts. The first step is to ensure that FAV laws that are passed aren't discriminatory towards those who would benefit most from the technology. State laws that currently limit FAVs to those who have a driver's license undeniably restrict access for BVI people. A potential solution presented in the literature is a federal FAV operator's license, which would eliminate discriminatory licensing requirements, for example, traditional driving, vision, or physical ability tests, while retaining safety requirements. Federal FAV operator's licenses are necessary as driver's licenses that mandate physical or visual ability in FAVs are nonsensical and frankly inappropriate. The second step is to use existing policy, like the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, as a framework for future policy. We should take the ADA requirements for human drivers that make current transportation accessible and extend them to the AI drivers in FAVs. Much like the ADA requires human drivers to receive and respond to disability accommodations in a respectful, courteous way, FAV AIs should also be required to be responsive to the same sort of disability information. For example, in both private and public scenarios, FAV services should be required to accommodate users with service dogs and enable multisensory alerts and accessible UI elements to respond to users' needs. Our last recommendation relates to specific technological features for accessible FAVs that should be prioritized in policy. Nick, can you tell us a bit about this?
Absolutely. One simple yet hugely impactful approach for improving the accessibility of FAVs is to integrate the user's smartphones, which already provide many accessibility features. This approach is consistent with a lot of the interviews that we've had talking to blind folks, and also makes good practical sense as over 80% of visually impaired cell phone users already have smartphones. In addition, research in our lab over the recent years leveraging the multimodal nature of smart devices supports all kinds of new accessibility interactions for FAVs. For instance, we've demonstrated that touchscreens that incorporate haptic feedback, what you could think of as active touch through vibration, are highly effective at conveying visual information, such as information about the direction of landmarks, maps, and other graphical content supporting spatial learning and navigation without vision. Our research also demonstrates that multisensory interfaces are extremely effective for providing alerts, soliciting attention, and enhancing the overall experience for both blind and sighted users, so are good universal design. Taken together, the research clearly indicates that people with visual impairments desire touchscreens as a form of interaction with FAVs, but they also suggest significant concerns about accessibility. To address these concerns, we argue for mandating that FAV touchscreen interfaces incorporate vibration, audio, and other non-visual sensory interactions, promoting accessibility. The rationale being that this solution is already empirically validated and would have immediate benefit for providing accessibility. In addition, policy requirements that include existing mobile devices would reduce the learning curve, the cost, and manufacturer hardware adaptations associated with making autonomous vehicles fully accessible to the blind community. We thank you for your time and would love to get your input on our project. If you want to connect with us, please go to vemilab.org.